There's always one cunt, isn't there?
Welcome to the Riff Crew. I'm your host, Steve Mitchell, and today we're back in the realm, a little bit different, and enjoying myself in the realm is, of course, with my co-host, Skull. How you doing, Skull?
All right, man. Always in the realm. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, in Cyberland. As you know, this is Skull, broadcasting from the past, present, and future in the Chamber of the Cosmos. Here with my good friend Steve Oz, and as you know, and Black Manta, off and on again, DC Bomb Rock Band. Also been in the scene for a while, and I'm here filling in for Andrew for a bit. And as usual, really excited to be here. And we have something cool to talk about.
That's right, because you had a road trip not that long ago. I think it was to New Jersey. Is that right?
Yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere. You were like, hey, you want to go to the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame? And I was like, fuck yeah. I don't even know what it is, but I was born to go. So the people were super cool. They set the whole thing up. I brought one of my friends along, Mark Jackson. He was like the technical assistant, and we had a pretty wild road trip. There's going to be, I'm sure some videos and some pics here and there, but it was a great time. I have no idea. I think the reason that they did it in New Jersey is because I think they normally did it in LA or something, but because of COVID, the schedule got all screwed up. But I'll tell you, the cool thing is when we first got there, we parked and I looked around and I was like, holy shit, that's Eddie Trunk. Now, for all the viewers out there, Eddie Trunk in the States is a pretty well-known hard rock, heavy metal DJ. He's been around for, 20, 30 plus years. He had that metal show on VH1. It's kind of a big deal. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm at the right place. This is really fucking cool. A lot of it was streamed, but there were some people in-house, like JJ French from Twisted Sister was talking about his, book that he just worked on. And it basically was all of the cats that were from the New Jersey area that they were like, this is a hometown thing, so come in, and that's kind of how it worked out. But so like the drummer from King's X was there. I can't remember his name. But one of the coolest things was that the Dictators played, and we just recently had an interview with Ross the Boss.
Yeah.
From the band Ross the Boss, and also he was in Man of War, but started off with Dictators, one of the original blueprints for the entire New York punk scene, along with the New York Dolls and etc. But so it was really cool to see that, and it was really cool. It was an acoustic. They played an acoustic set, a 4-song acoustic set. But I got to tell you, man, I'm not really an acoustic type guy, but maybe it had something to do with sound ordinance. I have no idea. They said it was acoustic, but as it was pretty fucking rocking. I mean, just as an acoustic set. I mean, it was a pretty close to electric as you can imagine. But a lot of people might not know this, but they're recently looking for a drummer, and lo and behold, they got Al Bouchard from BOC as their new drummer. So he was there and he was rocking on stage. Everybody was rocking. And I think we might have a clip of that. We'll play later on, but they're fucking old cats, old guys now, but they rocked and they were still pretty punk as fuck. Like the first song they played was called, can you guess what it is?
Let's get the party started.
close. Pussy and Money. That
Oh,
was the first song they
straight
played.
to the point.
It was called It's right to the point. Pussy and Money. And it was great. It was a fun song. Anyway, they have a new lead singer. I'm not really familiar with that guy, but he's a pretty well-known like New York DJ that was a massive Dictator's fan when he was a kid. Sounded great, played great, everybody was great. But it was just really cool seeing Al there. I'm a massive BOC fan myself, so it's really cool that there's a crossover there. Now, maybe they'll be able to come one of these days, and we'll get to check them out. But
and have you heard the new BOC? Or the latest?
I have heard it. We'll be talking about that in a different segment coming up.
Cool.
But no, oh yeah, just kind of to preface this whole thing, this is going to be to all the viewers out there. This is going to be a shorter segment because some of the interviews, obviously, we want these older guys. Some of the people we talk to, we really want them to be able to get their story out. We don't want to cut the time, and so some of these interviews can go long, which I think is a good thing. Someone that loves history and rock and roll disciple, you want people to be able to tell their stories, and because there's a lot to tell. But some of the things that we discuss get buried, like the shows that we get to go see. Sometimes we want to talk about that, and then also the Great Gig in the Sky, that kind of gets buried. So we're breaking out these segments. We're going to have different shorter segments called Skull's Electric Church or whatever, and then Great Gig in the Sky, just to kind of break those out so it's easier to check out, because sometimes they get buried in those long interviews. So and we never really get a chance to follow up on this. And I didn't get to meet anyone. There was just a lot going on. We did have some technical difficulties. We did get some photographs here and there and a couple of videos. But one of the coolest things there, that was the real surprise, that it was a surprise to me. I had I had zero expectations. I didn't really have any expectations as to what was going to happen. But one of the guys that was on the list for this year is a famous rock or heavy metal photographer called Mark Weiss. And little did I know, and Steve as well, but you might not know who he is, but you really do know who he is, because he photographed, I can dig it out here, but he photographed, Twisted Sister Stay Hungry album cover, and freaking Suicidal How Will I Laugh Tomorrow album cover, and there's some pics of that too that will pop up on the screen. But I actually got to meet him. I don't think I took any picture with him, but I met him. He was there hanging out, and they had he had a gallery of his pictures there, and just amazing iconic heavy metal pictures from people across the genre, Angus Young to Ryan James Dio to Tony Iommi to freaking Lemmy. So it was pretty amazing. And one of the pictures, I was like, I'm not leaving here without a fucking picture. And I bought a picture. There's a little bit of a glare, but you can see that this is a really awesome picture of fucking Metallica. I got him to sign it and everything. And I said, can you put 2 skull Rip Cliff? And he's like, how many F's is in Cliff? And I was like, 2. But he was a super cool guy. I just figured I would take a little memento with me back from the Heavy Metal Hall of Fame.
And that was a live clip from Duneeater back in 2019. We've recently dropped the whole show, so check that out on the channel. Unfortunately, there haven't been too many shows of late here in Melbourne, but I know, Skull, you've been enjoying quite a few, or at least something.
Yeah. Like, you know, like we were saying before, some of these interviews are some of the things that we want to discuss kind of get buried in these interviews, and I've actually been been able to go to shows. You know, we were in the US here, we're under lockdown for quite a bit, but we're able to go to some shows. So I'm finally taking advantage of the opportunity to go. There are bands that you want to see. You can't see every band. You're gonna miss a band here or there. You can't have every record. You can't see every show. But so, like, I did want to see the Eagles. I fucking missed that. That was a fucking drag. And I think there was something else, but one of the bands I did get to see, I went all the way down to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is about a 7-hour drive for me.
Wow. Yeah.
I saw Primus plays Rush. Now, I'm not a huge Primus fan, although I've seen him twice now. I don't know if you're a Primus fan. He likes to play, you know, his, you know,
Some
fart,
songs.
you know, thump fart bass sounds, and you know, he's hillbilly fart bass, and he bounces. He likes to, you know, does all that fucking weirdo shit. But he's a funny guy, and you know, he doesn't take himself too seriously, which is cool. But we were like, well, if anyone could pull this shit off, it's got to be Primus, right? And the thing is, my theory is that they obviously had to have they had to be sanctioned by the band, right? They probably had to be, you know, given the go ahead by Getty and Alex, and you know what I mean? I think because Primus opened up for Rush back in the early 90s, so there's been a connection there, so they've probably known each other over the years. And Les Claypool, the bass player singer, was like, you know, he wanted to do this thing, and they probably gave him the green light to go ahead and do it. And the funny thing is that when they first started, it's like, I know all you Rush fans out there are going to be scrutinizing the shit out of us. And everyone's like, yeah. And yeah, so of course you go there. There's a lot. It was a cool, like a small outside amphitheater there in Charlotte. A lot of old school people, a lot of Rush shirts. The band, the Sword opened up for them, which is pretty cool. Never seen them. Um, they actually played their encore was Cheap Sunglasses by ZZ Top because Dusty Hill had just recently passed away. They're fellow Texans, so that was pretty cool. But when Primus started playing, they played their they were like, we're gonna play our set first because we know if we play Rush, everyone's gonna leave, and everyone's like, yeah, yes, we would fucking leave. Anyway, so they played their first set. You know, we suffered through that. Just kidding, it wasn't that bad. Um, I'm not really a huge Primus fan, but live they're good. It's fun. You know, it's cool. They're great musicians, and they played about 40 minutes, and then I'm not. So the whole point of the show was that they were going to play. It was called the Farewell to Kings. They played. They played this album in its entirety, and so that was really cool. And they had a cool backdrop. You know, cool like spacey videos and shit like that. And I would say they're all like really great, accomplished musicians. I don't know how far into the tour it was, but there was one song. There's a song on here called Cinderella Man that's pretty complicated. It's a pretty I mean, all of their shit is technical, but this song is overtly a technical song. And even Primus, it sounded a little clunky, like they were having some trouble with it. But that was a great time. You know, went with my brother-in-law Todd, and also Izzy, my brother from another mother. He rock and roll disciple and Brotherhood of Orpheus. That he went with him. And anytime anything Rush related happens, I always try to go with him. And so that was a great show.
Did they do it? Try to play to the Rush style or the Primus style when they played the Rush songs?
They played it straight. They played it straight, and Les, he wasn't doing his hillbilly fart vocals or whatever the hell you want to call it. He wasn't bouncing up and down and acting like a goofball. He was actually trying to sing the songs, and he hit a couple. He was trying to hit those notes, those Getty notes, and he did pretty good. He did pretty good, man. So if anyone ever out there had a chance to see it, it was really cool. If they ever do it again, I highly recommend you check it out, especially for the Rush fans, because since at this point Rush is in indefinite hiatus, as everyone knows.
Well, I think they're done. I can't see another Rush show.
That's why I said indefinite. Yeah, so that it is what it is, but maybe they'll give them, the Rush guys will just let Primus do this every couple of years or something like that. But it was pretty cool. What do you know anything about Primus?
I know some of their songs. I don't own any of their albums. I don't think.
Yeah, they played like My Name Is Mud and shit like that. But it was fun. Yeah, they played their set, then they played the Rush. They played the full album, and as soon as they were done, guess what happened?
They played an encore.
But then what happened to the audience after that?
They left.
That's right. Everybody fucking left. But he knew that, he knew that that's what, not everybody, but we're all like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here. We're done. So they played a few songs after that. But that was cool.
Yeah, I actually enjoy. I obviously haven't seen them live, but I've enjoyed some of the work of the Claypool Lennon Delirium. I don't know if you've come across that. It's I think it's Sean Lennon. he teamed up
that's
with.
Les Claypool and Sean Lennon.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it.
Yeah, it's not. It's kind of obviously got Les Claypool's stamp on it musically, but it's a little more, I don't know, psych rock, if you like.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's,
I mean, I definitely would check it out. I mean, Sean
that's not bad.
is an incredible pedigree, as everybody knows. Guy was born to play music and screech like a banshee probably, but because of his mom, his oh no Yoko, but oh no, here comes Yoko.
It's up for CD again. It's time the people to rise up, time the people shine. It's time the people to go on, that's it. It's time the people to rise up, time the people shine. It's time the people shine and fun. It's all American, not only if it's what you say. It's all American, not only if it's all you want. It's all American, not only if it's what you say. It's all American, not only if it's all you want. It's all the people to rise up, tell the people shine. It's all the people to go on, that's it. It's all the people to rise up, tell the people shine. It's all the people shine and fun. It's all American, not only if it's what you say. It's all American, not only if it's all you want. It's all American, not only if it's what you say. It's all American, not only if it's all you want.
It's time for the people to rise up. Time for the people to rise up. Time for the people to go on, that's it, go. Time for the people to rise up.
Tell the people to rise up, tell the people stand and fly. It's all American, not only if it's what you say. It's all American, not only if it's all you want.
Get away!
It's all American, not only if it's what you say.
What you say?
American, not only if it's all you want.
What you say?
Yeah!
Another show I got to see. I also went down to Charlotte because once again with Izzy, but because his partner of 30 years passed away a few years back, and his favorite band was the Stones, and we made a pilgrimage. We were going to go the last time, but it got canceled because of COVID, and we were like, okay, we're going to go in Gary's honor. And so we went, and we ended up going by ourselves. I guess other people went themselves, but typically you go, it's a big deal when you go to the Stones, everyone goes together, but it was just me and him. Oh, one thing I have to say, this is for the ticket people out there. Old new schoolers and old schoolers alike, and vice versa. A lot of people like to collect physical tickets, right? But more and more it's become on the phone and blah blah blah. It's e-ticket, all this bullshit. And I don't know if it's fear mongering or what, but for the Primus Rush show, they were like, "Oh, you have e-tickets only, e-tickets only." And we're old school. Is older than me, and he's like, and we were like, "Fuck that. We just showed up. We're just like, fuck it. We're just gonna show up." And we showed up, walked up to the box office, bought a fucking ticket, no problem. So I don't know if it's because they want people to have e-tickets, or maybe it's easier for them because they're Ticketmaster, they're cheap, fuckers or whatever. But insidious, money whores that they are. But who knows where it's headed? But I was like, fuck it, I want a physical ticket. So we walked up, and the same thing with the Stones, man. We did not have any tickets. We literally were like, we're going. It's fate. It's destiny. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. On the radio, on the news, on TV, they're like, if you don't have an e-ticket, you won't be able to get into the show. They were saying all this fucking dumb shit. And we walk up. Of course, there was a gazillion people. It's the fucking Stones. And they had Miss Last Time, and also Charlie passed away. And so I think it didn't sell out, but you know, when you go to see a show like that, it's a spectacle. I mean, it's like fucking Cirque du Soleil meets, I don't know, just some kind of festival, some shit, man. And
Was that your first gig, Stones gig?
that was my first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this is it, man. This could be it for them. Charlie just fucking, dropped. I know you said you saw them when you were a kid.
Yeah, when I was a teenager. Yeah, back in the 90s.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I was like, well, I got to go, and it was kind of like we went because it was like I said, it was like kind of a pilgrimage for Gary's, that was his favorite band, and so we go. We were kind of sweating a little bit. I have to be honest, but we walk up and we're like, we don't have any tickets, and the lady was like, over there. There was like a sea of people, and we finally, nobody knew where this fucking ticket booth was. And once again, you said you went to like a football stadium, right?
Yeah, Melbourne Cricket Ground. So the stadium itself would have held around 100,000 people, but obviously it was less because, it was only half the stadium was sold. Although
that's
there
crazy.
were seats on the field itself.
Yeah, because we went, it was the Charlotte football stadium there in Charlotte, North Carolina, where the Panthers play. And I'd never been to anything like that ever. Around here in DC, there was there was called RFK, and back in the day, that's where the Stones would play, and Floyd, and I almost went to go see them, but it never happened. So I never went to anything like that. It's enormous. Like you're overwhelmed by the spectacle of it. And so we went around, and we got our tickets, and and get this, they were $75. Now that sounds like a lot of money, but for Stones, that's a reasonably cheap ticket. We got our tickets. We went there. We were like, we were we were in total nosebleeds. We got the cheapest tickets we could find, but we actually walked down and snuck down and got a little bit closer. But at first, man, I felt you were like in fucking heaven. You could like touch God or whatever. We were joking that Gary was watching the show with us because we were so close to heaven. But we watched the show, and I mean, it's the Stones. I didn't really have any expectations. I was just there for the spectacle of it, just to see them, just to enjoy it. And I got to be totally honest. Those motherfuckers brought it, man. Those old motherfuckers were amazing. They were good. I mean, Mick was just energetic and dancing his ass off. And they played almost 2 hours. And they took a little bit of a break, and then Keith sang a couple of songs, like obscure songs. I had no idea what they were, but Iz knew what they were. And I wanted them to play a certain song here or there, which was fine. They didn't play it, but they played, like, there's a song called Rambling, Midnight Rambler, that they used to jam out back in the day. And they jammed it out like a 15-minute version of Midnight Rambler, just jamming. I was like, holy shit. And then I was like halfway through the set. That was very impressive. And then they did like a 10-minute version of Sympathy for the Devil. And then their encore was like a 10-minute version of Can't Get No Satisfaction. And they had fucking fireworks and everything, man. It was awesome. It was great. Of course, they started the whole thing off with a bit of a somber note. They were, he talked about Charlie, and there was like pictures of him, and like it was really, really cool. But I wanted them to play She's a Rainbow, which is one of my favorite songs from their Psych period. And they didn't play it, but they did play another song that totally fucking blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. They played, you know what that was? That's right.
Ruby Tuesday.
It was Paint It Black.
Well, it's a staple. I would have expected it.
You would think, but their catalog is so enormous. Like, you know, if I had any complaints, which I had, you know, it was mind blowing and amazing. I'm so glad I finally got to see them. Any of my minor complaint would be that they played a new song, which I guess you kind of have to expect that. And they played like two covers, like blues songs or something like that. But whatever. They started off as a blues band a million years ago. So,
Yeah,
but
but
that would,
you don't want
that
to
was,
see covers. Even local bands, I don't like covers. I want to hear their own stuff.
right. I was like, you know, you could have played Ruby Tuesday, or they could have played anything, but they played covers, whatever. And they let Keith, you know, get up there and ramble, you know, into the microphone for a couple of songs, and which was cool. I guess it give Mick a break. Um, but yeah, man, once again, you were there in spirit, I guess, but it was pretty amazing. Have you? But okay, you did get you saw them that one time, but is that the only time you ever been to like a stadium that big to see a show?
Yeah, because to be honest, I've always been in the underground bands, and
Sure,
the bands I listen to aren't that popular. Not to
I
that
know
extent.
it was overwhelming. It
Because
really was overwhelming.
yeah, even some of the, you know, not obscure bands like Iron Maiden, Tool, Metallica, I haven't seen. I saw. It was actually reminded me. I went to a festival in Tokyo about 15 years ago called Loud Park, and saw, I think, Megadeth and Napalm Death, and if I remember correctly, Opeth were the opener on one of the days. They were like the very first band, so obviously that was earlier in their career.
That's
Because
before
now,
they got huge,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, because now when they come out to Australia, they play in front of like 2,000-3,000 people. Um,
Mm.
so that's probably the only time I've had that experience, and it was cool because Cathedral were on the bill, and I hung out with the guys backstage and stuff like that, and got drunk and had a merry
Awesome.
time. Yeah, yeah, and it was funny. The following day, I just went out and I was just doing record shopping, and I ran into Gaz Jennings on the road, so we ended up going shopping and buying albums.
Where was that?
It was in Tokyo, in Shinjuku, I think
At
it
that
was.
same festival, you ran into Gaz?
Yeah, yeah, just like the next day on the street, because
That's
he was shopping for records and so was I, so we just
that's
crossed paths,
funny.
which was funny,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
But no,
Well,
those big type of events, I, I'm more into the probably 500 size, maybe 1,000,
sure.
where you've got a
Well,
bit of
that
energy in the room, but it's not, it's still personal. Like you can still be, a couple of meters away from the stage, or on the
well,
stage in some cases.
that's a perfect segue actually, because I went from what 70,000 or whatever with the Stones. Um, the next show I saw was a little history here. There was a bunch of famous clubs in the area that catered to underground and heavy metal. There was one called Jackson. It had been around for almost like 20 plus years. Um, and it went out of business a few years back, and everybody was really upset and lamented that. It was a great club. It did have its share of issues, uh, but it did cater to underground metal and a lot of old rock bands that would draw 300-400 people or something like that. And unbeknownst to me, there was another club called Tally Ho, and it's a little bit further away. It's about 40 minutes away. And I recently heard that Blue Oyster Cult was playing at this place called Tally Ho. I've never been, and I was like, I haven't seen them like in like 10 years. They're getting old as dirt, like all these people. Everyone's getting fucking old as shit. I was like, you know what? I'm going. So the perfect segue to that 70,000 to about 400 or 500 was to this place called Tally Ho in Leesburg, and I saw Blue Oyster Cult there a couple weeks back, and it's my first time there. I'm actually going there again coming up. That'll be the next Electric Church report because I think we'll do this every couple of months or so. I'll go see a few shows and then we'll talk about it. But I next Tuesday is Carl Palmer. He's the only original member left from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And that, one of my favorite songs, as you know, is Lucky Man, along with, you know, Lakeside Park from Rush. And I've never seen him, so I'm fucking going. And it's going to be the same place, Tally Ho. And I mentioned that because when you go there, it was my first time. I didn't really know what to expect. There's no opener. There's
That's
no
unusual,
opening act.
yeah.
So they played 2 hours.
Wow.
I've never seen BOC play that long before. So I know almost their entire catalog. So there weren't any surprises. Although they played 4 songs off the new album, which that was a real shocker to me. Some people would say, you know, that sucks. I would have been like, I don't give a shit about their new album or whatever. But BOC is one of the rare exceptions where I listened to the new album. In fact,
Well, I've given it a spin, and there's some good songs on it. It's not my cup of tea, but I know that a lot of Blue Oyster Cult fans really dig it.
yeah, it's fantastic. It's really I'll chat about it a little bit more later on, but it they played 4 songs off of it. I was shocked, but they, you know, of course they played the hits. You know, they you know, Burning for You, Godzilla, of course, you know, there's just all kinds of, they played a lot of underground stuff, songs like Harvester of Eyes that you never hear, and Joan Crawford, and like I said, Don't Fear the Reaper, of course. Those were the big 3 that they always have to play. They have to play Don't Fear the Reaper, Godzilla, and Burning for You. Those were kind of like their 3 radio hits, and then everything after that is just icing on the cake. But for me, I mean, the one song that they could have played, which would have been awesome, is a song called Astronomy. Whatever, they didn't play it, but everything else was really cool, and they played the 4 songs off the new album. And when they were done around 10 o'clock. They split, and that was it. Buck Dharma, the singer guitar player, was having some guitar issues, some technical issues, amp issues, whatever. But other than that, I mean, it was great. It was a great show, man. And like I said, we didn't really get to go into this was on your preliminary top 20 pick, right?
It's one that I gave a spin. I don't think I put it in Cult 69 list because it's probably one that people are familiar with.
Yeah.
As I said, there's some good songs on it. It's just a lot of the songs on it. It's kind of drifting into an area that's not my style of music.
Gotcha.
So
I mean, it's more old school hard rock, you know. But I, you know, as a music fan, we're always going to be a little skeptical. And I was like, there's no way this album's going to be as good as the last album. The Curse of the Hidden Mirror, the one that came out in early 2000s, I really dig a lot. And so when I got this, I was like, I went in with that mentality, it's not going to be blah, 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 which is my fault. I should have just went in totally straight, totally fresh. But the more I listened to it, it didn't grab me immediately, but the more I listened to it, I was like, holy shit, this album is amazing. The production is all there. The songwriting is there. It has the BOC stamp, the 2 main guys, Eric Bloom, singer guitar player, Buck Dharma, singer guitar player. And, you know, the other cats, you know, are basically hired guns. Although they've been in the band for 15 plus years, they're the new guys. But it has all the hallmarks and all of the, you know, it's all there. All the sounds, the energy, the lyrics, the vibe. it's a really great BOC album. I highly recommend checking them out. These motherfuckers are getting old too. So we just have to go out and see these guys whenever you can.
And did they play? Because a lot of bands that get in 60s, 70s or beyond, they slow down the tempo of their songs, and it can be quite noticeable. Did you find that they're still keeping the speed, or they slow down the songs a bit?
No, that's funny. No, maybe it's because the drummer is a young guy or younger guy. But no, they rocked out. In fact, there's a song on here called Train True, and it's a really up-tempo song, and that was one of the new songs that they played. And I don't really see them slowing down, man. It was surprisingly energetic for a bunch of guys in their, what are they called? Septuagenarians.
To say 70s.
Yeah. They did pretty good, man. But so I think for now that might be it for Skulls Electric Church. You got anything to add there, Steve? Steve
No.
Oz?
Oh, so is just on that vibe. We'll close out the show with some live music.
All right, well, I got one last thing to say as usual. Remember, that's right. You got to look to the stars, carry that torch of enlightenment, to strive to be a disciple of rock and roll in the Brotherhood of Orpheus. Peace.